Okay, we're looking at 7.3, the guided practice on page 214. We're going to start off with question number 2. Number 2 says 2 thirds times 9 plus x equals negative 5 times 4 minus x, and that's in parentheses. So what we want to do first is we want to get rid of our fraction. So we want to get rid of that by multiplying it by the denominator. Whatever you do to one side, though, we have to do to the other side. So we're going to add brackets here and multiply this by 3 also. So on this side, those 3's cancel out, and we're just left with 2 on the outside of the parentheses there. 9 plus x, bring that down from inside the parentheses. Go ahead and distribute this 3 to that negative 5. That gives us negative 15. Continue to just carry down what's inside of our parentheses here. This is only going to distribute here because this is eventually going to distribute here. So once we distribute it here, it's going to go there anyways. So that's why we only distribute it to that negative 5. Now I have it set up again. So I'm going to say 2 times 9 gives me 18 plus, and then 2 times x, 2x, equals negative 15 times 4. So we have negative 15 times 4. That gives us negative 60. Distribute this negative 15 to the negative x, and negative times a negative gives us a positive, so it's going to be plus 15x. Now it's set up just like it was in chapter 7-1, and all I need to do is get the x on one side, my number on one side. So I'm going to go ahead and start that off by saying minus 2x to this side, minus 2x to that side. That's going to cancel it, and I'm going to put it onto the right side with no x's left on the left side. So 5 minus 2, 3, bring that down and get 13x, bring down my negative 60, and bring down my 18. Now I'm going to add 60 to get rid of it on this side. So I'm going to add 60 over here. And I'm left with 78 after I add those together. These ones cancel out. I bring down my 13x. I want to say x by itself, so I'm going to say divided by 13, divided by 13. I get 78 divided by 13 gives me 6, and that equals x. So 6 is equal to x. I can write it that way, or I can write it this way. We're going to look at number 6 now. So number 6 is negative 6 in parentheses, x minus 1 minus 7 equals negative 7x plus 2. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute this to whatever's in the parentheses that it's touching. So negative 6 times x gives me negative 6x. Negative 6 times negative 1. Negative times negative gives me a positive. And 6 times 1, 6. Bring down my minus 7. Bring down my equal sign. And this, there's nothing to change yet. The next thing I want to do is I want to combine my like terms there. So I have 6 minus 7. That's going to give me negative 1. Bring down minus 6x. And now it's going to be minus 1 because we had the negative. Bring this down on this side. And now again, all I'm going to do is just solve for x. So I can do that by adding 7x to this side, adding 7x to that side. That leaves me just 1 for positive x. Bring down my minus 1. Bring down my 2 from this side. This cancels out. I'm going to add 1, add 1. That one cancels out now. So I'm left with x is equal to 3. So we're going to look at number 8. Number 8 is negative on the outside of the parentheses, 4 minus x inside the parentheses equals 3 over 4, and that's times x minus 6. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of my fraction. So in order to get rid of the fraction, I'm going to multiply by the denominator, which is 4 in this case. So I'm going to multiply that by 4, which is going to cancel that out. Whatever I do to that side, I've got to do to this side. So I'm going to say 4 times a negative, and I can always show it as negative 1 if I'm representing a negative. So 4 times negative 1 would give me negative 4. Bring everything else inside the parentheses down. This is going to be a 3 now because those 4's canceled out. Bring down everything inside my parentheses. And now all I need to do is distribute. So negative 4 times 4 gives me negative 16. Negative 4 times negative x gives me positive, so plus 4x. times a negative is a positive. I'm going to bring down my equal sign and then distribute this 3. So 3 times x gives me 3x. 3 times negative 6 gives me negative 18. Now all I need to do is just get my x on one side and my number on one side. So I'm going to subtract 3x, I'm left with just x. Bring down my minus 16 plus x equals minus 18. I'm going to add 16 to this side. I've got to do it to the other side also. So now I'm left with negative 2 here, and I'm left with just x here. So I'm already done with my problem. X is equal to negative 2. So finally, we're going to look at problem number 10. Number 10, we have half, and then in parentheses, 16 minus x equals negative 12 x plus 7, and that's inside parentheses. So the first thing I want to do again is I want to get rid of my fraction. So I'm going to multiply it by the denominator. Whatever I do to one side, I've got to do to the other side. So since I've got a parentheses already, I've got to make that bracket. So I'm putting a bracket around this. My 2's cancel out here when I multiply that, so I'm left with just 1 and 16 minus x inside the parentheses. Now I've got to distribute this 2 to the negative 12, so I'm going to get negative 24, and then in parentheses, x plus 7. When I distribute this 1, it just makes it the same thing, because 1 times anything is itself. So I'm going to just copy down that 16 minus x. My 24, my negative 24, I need to distribute to the x and to the 7. So I get negative 24x, and then I get negative 24 times 7. So I have negative 24 times 7, which is going to give me negative 168. So I'm going to put that there, minus 168. I want to get x's on one side and my number on one side. So I'm going to add 24x to cancel that out, but I've got to add it to this side too, to this negative x here. So 24x minus x is going to give me 23x. Bring down my 16. It's positive because the 24 was positive. And bring down my negative 168. Next thing I want to do is get rid of this 16 here so I can start to get x by itself. So I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. So my negative 168 minus 16 is going to give me negative 184. I'm going to bring down my 23x, and my 16s were crossed off already. So 23x, divide that by 23, divide my negative 184 by 23, and when I put that into a calculator, I get negative 8. Don't forget your negative sign here. So negative 8 is equal to x, and that's my final answer.